The way I see Mr. Smith as a person and a father, I think, is that he's a good person and it sounds like a good father as well. I think that he's a man who got into a difficult situation with DCF, and sometimes when you're a non-custodial father, you kind of let your passion get ahead of you a little bit, where you're talking to somebody and you're just talking almost in a way you're talking normal, right? The way you might talk to everybody. However, when you're dealing with a system, when you get upset, it's seen differently than it's a different way of dealing with a situation when it's a system over just individuals. And I think that he kind of got caught up in a situation that wasn't his own, and he just responded angrily, as I think anybody would. And so he's just a good guy who's gonna need some support navigating the system. What I was trying to do was separate myself from the system, is just clarify for him that I'm not a part of the system, that I'm here to help you, that I'm here to work with you. The other thing, I think that he kept kind of emphasizing how he was in a program, and what I wanted to do is let him understand that when I was working with him, my focus is going to be on him. So I was just trying to kind of humanize myself more and really separate myself and allow him to see me as someone that would be able to understand the situation, who would advocate for him and support him through the process. The reason why I thought it was important to ask about his son and about him being a father to his son is because a lot of times what was happening with Mr. Smith was he was focusing on DCF, he was focused on the process, he was focused on the things that he didn't necessarily want to deal with. But the one thing that he did care about a lot was his son and his role as a father. When he was talking about all the things he does with his son, he was kind of gushing, he was smiling, his guard was down. And so I think that for me, I wanted to be able to remind him what the fight was really about. So at the end of the day, yeah, you could keep being upset, or you could start getting in this program and doing what we got to do so that we can work our way to getting your son to be in a safe environment, to be able to be loved and cared for by you and your future wife. And so I thought that was important. Lately, I've been doing a lot of talks with people about trauma and how, I have this presentation I'm working on about how Black men make trauma look good. And what I mean by it is like, here I am with my little suit on, and you can't see everything that's happened to me as I'm sitting here, right? You can't see all of the invisible things. And so Mr. Smith told us about 2 incidents, and these were like big ones that he kind of like carries around with him. But imagine all the other little ones that he's not even counting right now. He's not bringing those forward. So part of our program is really to go back and look at, your past, look at your boyhood, look at your teen and adult years. These are the years that he was kind of talking about where things happened to him that if he doesn't maybe recognize it, but it's still having an impact on his life today. And so by being able to close the book on those things, it allows for him to actually move forward free of some of the baggage that he's been carrying around for years and years. And also I think it's important for fathers and men to be able to address their trauma, because sometimes our trauma becomes our children's trauma too. And so like you heard him talking about all the things he was trying to make sure his son he was going to avoid by being with him. If he comes to me, we got the safe community, we got this, we got that. And so ultimately trauma is one of those things that inadvertently gets passed on because up to 7 years, he hasn't been able to do anything to change the situation for his son, right? And so he wants to change it, but the only way that could happen is if he's actually actively involved in his life. And then I think the other piece of it is that he has to actually deal with his own trauma and deal with the things that he's been pushing to the side so that he can actually work with his son on that as well as he gets older, because I think at some point we all experience trauma, right? There's trauma for all of us, but I think that for Black and brown people in particular, there's a unique trauma out there that we experience that is different. And I think that it's going to be important for him to be able to say, I worked on this and now I have a better understanding of it, so that maybe he can pass something different on to his son. So.
Well, at the start of the session, I really didn't know much about the therapist. And I really didn't trust him too much. He just seemed like another person that was part of the system. But as we began to speak and as we began to have more dialogue and he began to say that he was on my side, it helped me open up a lot more. And I was able to trust him as much as I possibly could. And we both seemed like we were both on the same page of trying to get my son back to me. So as that went on and as we started to build that rapport, I was able to open up more and more. And the therapist became very sympathetic, easier to talk to, and really got me on his side. I was really on board with getting my child back to me. Well, what I loved about my son is how innocent he is and how playful he is and how he has so much untapped potential. He's the next generation of our family, going from poverty to hopefully living that American dream. And so being his father has just been a blessing. And just to see him grow as far as he has so far, it's been amazing. And I just want to make sure that as a father, I can keep my child on that right track and on that right path to success. There's so many other kids who grew up without a father. They didn't have that guidance. So that's how I felt. I think there's a huge connection with me being taken away by DCF when I was a child, and my son being taken away by DCF as a child. I think that understanding what that process is like, understanding the fear, understanding the pain that causes the family, going back to that and just reliving that experience, and now seeing my child relive that experience, was scary because I've had to endure so much growing up. And we think that, or I think that, you know, my child is going to be better or have better than myself. And here we go again, perpetuating that system. It's just a cycle that I'm afraid that maybe I can't break. And it's a cycle that knowing that that particular system won't listen. And here we go again, reliving this. And I didn't have a voice as a child. And now I don't have a voice as an adult. Is my child not going to have a voice? And when he grows up, is he going to be ignored as well? It's those types of things that kind of just keep coming back. That's a really difficult question, because sometimes you think because I'm a father of color and I'm dealing with this system, especially when a lot of people in that system don't look like myself, can they really relate to poverty? Can they really relate to what I've gone through growing up? Am I just another number, a statistic to them? Do they empathize with myself? Or am I just a paycheck? Am I just someone who they can just rip the child away and put him in another place because we don't have a similar background? That's some of the things that went through my mind. However, I don't know how it feels to be a white father with DCF coming to take their child away. I just know how it feels to be me. And sometimes it feels a little unjust, but that's the system.